every time the music is just 10 out of 10. Cannot complain in the slightest. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check Episode 6. This episode is called All the Necessary Qualifications in honor of our good friends, the Australians, winning the World Team Championship. As Anthony, member of Team Australia, not the good Team Australia, just member of Team Australia.
Yeah.
Proudly demonstrates. I'm wearing my Poland shirt. Nope, that one. Poland shirt from 2018 to celebrate. I definitely know which sides my left and right are. That's a thing I promise I'm aware of, especially when I'm trying to use a mirrored camera as the image. I am also joined by Jeremy of Team Finland, apparently, and Nathan, who sat at home.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, Nathan.
I know. Somebody had to
do the episode while we were away being horrible drunks.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wednesday night when they were recording, I definitely tried to watch a little bit of it, but it was like 3:30 on that Wednesday, and we were real out on Wednesday.
I think you said like something just indecipherable in the YouTube comments, and then like drunkenly staggered out of the YouTube comments. It was pretty interesting. I was like, "Oh man, Innes is awake," and then I was like, "Oh, Innes is drunk."
He shouldn't have been. Yeah,
yeah, it was real rough. Not in a bad way, just in a tried to let Anthony kill me kind of way.
You didn't die.
Didn't die. Turns out Anthony has enough restraint to not smack your head into concrete. Only just enough, but
I told you afterwards.
Exactly. You didn't have to. I wouldn't have remembered. So let's do the easy bit. How has your last week's been?
I guess I'll start. It has been an absolutely amazing, fantastic, and exhausting last week and a half.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, I was at the WTC. I was coaching Team Canada. We'll get into more about the WTC later, but it was my first WTC or /ETC, and it was an absolutely exhilarating experience. I'm already counting down the days to next year.
357, by the way.
I know, I'm aware.
Coaching is so much harder than playing, by the way. I was like a glorified racehorse all weekend. I didn't do shit.
I felt bad whenever I would go up to my players and be like, all right, I need like 1 more point out of you or 2 more points out of you. Can you do that? And they just kind of look at me blankly, be like, it's going to be a 12. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
It might be less.
Yeah.
You might do something about it.
As this people of the show may or may not know, I'm not good at on-the-fly math, so they would ask me what the score was trending towards, and I'd be like, and reference the score sheet.
Would never have known, Anthony. Never have known.
Like, man, you want me to predict what I'm going to score and figure out what they're going to score and then try and figure out where that fits in the matrix? Not happening, champ.
This is really why we're giving Anthony math lessons, is for next WTC if he goes.
Yeah, so I can give more accurate predictions.
He can predict himself accurately. It'll be great.
Yeah. Someone else.
Sorry, just win by 51 points.
Yeah, someone else can just put me on my 4th best army and hope for the best against the world's best players.
That's the plan.
It almost worked.
It did almost work. It approximated working.
It was just it was
close enough
4 to 8 points off of first place or something like that. 2 4-point situations.
Our 2 draws were like 3 points away from victories. They were so close to being wins.
Not wins, though, are they? That's the problem.
Not close enough, though.
Not close. Close only matters in what? Horseshoes and hand grenades is the old saying.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, yeah.
Yeah, we were 3 points away from being 5-2.
Nice.
Yep.
We were a Necron army away. It would have been really nice.
Yeah, us too.
A Necron army away from properly performing well.
Yeah, but Anthony just said just you, and his team had one, so
that's fine.
Oh, all right, Nathan. What have you been up to?
Anthony's not making Team USA next year. If anything, this podcast ever goes public.
That's fine.
He's moving to Brisbane anyway.
I made a podcast episode with Cliff and Alex Taus about math and stats, mostly about math, where we talked about why averages are the devil. and then about how modifiers affect your actual effective wounds and chances of doing things. So those were pretty cool episodes that focus mostly on how like you can use math at the table side, how the math you use at the table side is wrong, and then also how to correct all those mistakes that you're making with math at the table side. So if you really are interested in like learning how to use math a little bit more efficiently to make decisions on the table, then go back and watch our previous episode with Alex and Cliff and I talking about distributions. But it is also mostly about me, Alex, and Cliff just running on random ass tangents for like 45 minutes of a 90-minute episode.
Yeah.
Alex's nervous like situation on the podcast is apparently talking as much as possible to avoid any awkward silence moments of awkward silence in the episode. So he'll just go. And then somehow I ended up having to be the adult who was like, stop. We need to talk about something else.
Accidentally becoming the adult in any room is terrifying to me.
Yeah,
That happens to us a lot.
that's the worst because Innes is like the youngest person in most rooms.
It is pretty funny, speaking of averages, that he's beaten his players into submission so hard that when dice skew against them horrifically, they find him wherever he is in the room and lock eyes with him and go, average, mate.
Other than that, over the weekend I ran an RTT for a local gaming group as we continue to try to turn Chicago into something resembling an actual large city competitive scene. So we're still working on that. Yeah, no. And then I got to play 3 games with the psychic list over the weekend and then 2 other games during the week and just absolutely clobbered every single person with it that I played, including a Necrons list. Although that came down to a last moment Horned Chitin stratagem use where I rolled a 6 on it and detonated the Silent King with it, which was endlessly hilarious and turned a tie into a win for me.
Anthony got to play the guy, the architect behind that list.
Oh, that's good.
And thankfully, he was just a touch overconfident, having torched the Swedes NIDS player 20-0 the round previous, and kind of fucked around and found out with my tyrants a little bit.
Oops.
Mm-hmm.
Good lad.
Yeah, now Innes has created a new version of that list for me to try because Innes is a monster and wants me to test it for him. Secret text.
I can't give away my LGT lists in advance.
Nobody pays attention to what I do, Innes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not speaking on your behalf right now.
Speaks on the behalf of the group or whatever.
Nobody ever pays attention to anything I enter into fucking tournaments. Innes.
Now they will.
Oh yeah, now you guys should all pay attention to me.
Yeah, they'll know that they come from Innes. So they'll.
I mean, what other reason is there for being friends with Innes? I kid. I love Innes dearly.
Oh, that was mean.
I know.
Spare bed. I think that.
But really,
the other.
That's spare
there's
bed.
There's like a show question later where somebody's like, "So Nathan, did you miss your co-hosts?" And I was like, "Yes, I did. I missed all of my co-hosts, including Jeremy, who is here planning stuff and giving me stats, and then both Turbo Violence Vanilla down here on the left and Innes on the right." It was so quiet, and I had like so few people to talk to about random nonsense for like a whole week that it made me very sad.
The group chat was real quiet this week. I have to say.
It felt like we had all dropped off the face of the earth for some reason.
Yeah, it's like, man, where did all my friends go?
WTC channel and Discord.
Where did all my friends go? Was really my thought the whole time.
You had Cliff. I assume you and Cliff just have your own DMs. You, Cliff and Jury, have it like backstage.
We actually just moved it.
Me and Anthony.
We just moved it into the backstage proper.
That's nice.
Yeah, you guys get to see all the weird, stupid. Well, except for the occasional time where Curie or Cliff send me a message with an idea. You all get to see.
I just assume there's memes about me and Anthony in there that you just don't want us to see. I feel like because me and Anthony do that in our private chat for you guys. So
yeah,
oh, that's funny. I don't really think that we do that often. Occasionally,
Not very often.
Oh, fun side note from WTC. So I remembered when they were doing the podium thing that I made a bet with Australia about a tattoo that I have to follow up on. So,
oh no,
yeah. So sometime eventually I have to get this as a tattoo on my shoulder because they won.
What was the bet? Was the singles and the teams, right?
Singles and teams, yeah.
I watched Anthony remember he had made this bet in real time It
Yeah.
was very funny.
I can take you to a tattoo shop while you're here in Chicago, Anthony. We'll get it figured out.
Maybe we'll
He
do that.
remembered while watching them go up on stream to do like their champagne popping. They popped their champagne, came off, and then he went, "I have to get a tattoo." And then all of the others went, "Holy shit! So you do?"
Yeah, they all lost it. It was really strong. I was like, the bet, and solely locked eyes with me and went, the bet. And yeah, insanity.
So we just have
Sully
Turbo
and
and
Betts
Innis to talk about their weeks then.
So Solo and Matt Morsoli and making bets is
Jesus.
definitely not new.
Yeah,
The first bet that happened
He's
of
a
the weekend was
professional athlete.
he had to run 100 meters in under 30 seconds for I think it was like €200.
150, yeah.
So he's not a small dude. It's just the amount of dumb stuff that happened to WTC is great.
Yeah.
Some of it not so great as well, unfortunately. But
so I guess we want to do like 5 seconds of week recap and then talk about WTC anecdotes for like an hour until you two die of exhaustion.
We're gonna do a little bit of stats for a little bit, and then we're gonna do a little bit of plugs where I'm gonna tell you about the stuff we do and why you should care. Then we're gonna do like 45 minutes where we just talk about WTC, and then we'll answer some questions about WTC. Then we're going to bed because I am knackered. So let's do it. We're going to keep it chill. We got Jeremy here. We got Anthony here. We got Nathan here as our resident expert who can have fun and make sure we're staying remotely on topic.
Just a little. So we'll talk about stats very quickly just from this last weekend. Cliff, Jeremy, and I are working on getting a bunch of stuff updated for the stats because Jeremy was gone and does all the aggregation. Is really the only person who knows how to do it. And then Cliff runs the meta dashboard that uses the stats, and then I use the stats to calculate overrep. People have been asking a lot, so the overrep will be on the meta dashboard basically as like towards the end of this week, once we figure out how to incorporate it, and once I get all the meta rep information incorporated into the data collections stuff that I've done. I've gathered all of the overrep data to do all the calculations since the start of Nephilim. So we'll do from the start of Nephilim for overrep through each cycle of the meta, and then it'll start again. So you guys have that to look forward to because you keep asking about it in various different mediums, including the Discord. For this week, our faction top 5 is Tyranids, Space Marines, because they're conglomerated together of a bunch of different factions, Necrons, Chaos Marines, and then all of the factions are starting to get pretty squished together outside of that. Tyranids did the best for top 10s and top 4s with 15 top 10s and 6 top 4s. That's out of 120 top 10 placements because there were 12 events over the weekend. Marines had 13, 3, and then 1 GT win. Necrons had 12 top 10s, 6 top 4s, and 3 GT wins. Necrons may be a problem. Chaos Marines were next. They're really starting to pop up a lot with 10 top 10s, 3 top 4s, and 1 GT win. After that, we have a bunch of factions that are around like 8 and then 3 to 4 top 4s, which is Death Guard, Chaos Knights, Craft World Eldar, Sisters of Battle, Tau, and Imperial Knights. And then stuff starts to drop off after that with Drukari at 6, and then Orcs, Harlequins, Custodes at 4, and then everything after that is like 2 or 1 top 10s and 1 to 0 top 4s. But one of the things that I really want to say real quick is that despite what people may say, Tau are also totally dead with 7 top 10s, 4 top 4s, and 3 GT wins over the weekend. So also definitely dead. They can join Harlequins and Tyranids in the dead pile at the bottom of the heap.
Yeah, they're just gone, mate. Completely irrelevant. I wasn't muted or anything.
Yeah, totally irrelevant, totally dead, totally gone.
I'm going to say, as anyone who played against Tau over the last week at the WTC or the Warmasters, they are far from dead.
Please no more.
Yep. Warmasters top 10, which is the singles event that happened before WTC, in case anybody missed the meta dash, like the meta update thread that happens on Warhammer Competitive each week. It was Necrons, Tyranids, Drukari. I can't remember what Space Marines variety it was.
Yeah.
Salamanders. And then it was Harlequins.
Olivia versus Salamanders, yeah.
Another Marines player, then Craft World Eldar, Imperial Knights, Harlequins, and then Drukari again. So 2 Drukari in the top 10, No Tau in the top 10 at WTC at the WTC Warmaster GT. But I guess maybe when you don't have Tom Ogden at the WTC to play Tau, you're not going to
Skark was
see that
just in his
top 10
fucking
placement.
robo chamber charging up. That's why.
Yeah,
It's true.
Skark and Harpster weren't playing singles, so
Yeah.
And that other Space Marines player was friend of the show, Sam Procopio from Team Canada.
With Blood Angels, yeah.
With Blood Angels.
Yep.
Who went undefeated and missed making the top 4 cut by 2 battle points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had like a tie, I believe, right? By differential.
2 draws.
2 draws. Okay.
Yeah. Liam had a similar problem. Liam took an early Liam VSL took a similar
Liam lost to Jaime, who made the top 4 in round 1, and then just blasted it through the rest of his people.
Yeah.
But didn't quite make enough battle points because it was done on tiebreakers then battle points. So you had to be I think 5-0-1. There was one person that made the cut, which was the person who had the most battle points of the 5-0-1s.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things to keep an eye on, and something that I've seen in the data basically across all of the weeks, is that Necrons are doing exceptionally well. They basically, except for 1 week, been one of the top 3 performing factions as far as placements and GT wins go. Except for basically
Necrons
just
Tyranids was the final of Leeds, which was the Super Major for this week.
Yeah, Leeds was Tyranids, Necrons, Chaos Knights, and then Sisters for the top 4 with Death Guard and top 5, and then 2 more Tyranids.
Death Guard player
3 more
actually finished second after the Swiss. He just couldn't play top cut.
Oh, I get you. But yeah, there were 3 other Tyranids players in the top 10. Knights also are making kind of big inroads into competitive play with both Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights getting a lot of placements this week. 8-2 for top 10s and top 4s for Chaos, and then 7-2 for Imperial Knights top 10s and top 4s. So big boop robots, and then little boop Necrons. Necrons are making everybody else cry Necron tears instead up there.
Like Marshall Peterson scoring 600 battle points out of 600 at the.
Wait.
Apparently he's done that 2 events in a row now.
No, he's dropped 20 in 12 games. Which I believe was to a Necron player. Yeah. Liam Hackett's main WCF list scored 698 battle points in 7 games at WCC level.
I was going to say playing
dropping 2 points.
Did he 100 you, Anthony? Like, I know you got a point off him on 19-1, but
yeah, I just ended up dragging through for a point, but it didn't. I think he got I think he got 100 against me. I think the only potential snag was code or purge. I mean, I can go look.
Yeah, he scored 97 against me because he dropped 1 point on primary and 2 points on code.
I didn't touch his primary. I wasn't even close. Not on that mission. Playing Necrons on Death and Zeal is like offensive. You go second, and it's just like,
cool. I'm never
actually can't win this ever.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, played with conversion.
Yeah.
Also not great.
Great fun mission.
Well, that's the stats for this week. Next week, we'll have a more comprehensive review of stats because we'll all not be, well, all of the people involved with making sure the stats work correctly won't be terribly exhausted by international travel and herding sheep for an entire weekend while making sure that
3 hours, it was rough.
My travel home was 17 hours total.
It's pretty bad.
So done with traveling
we
for now.
We got an email being like, be at the airport an hour before your flight, or an extra hour before your flight, so 3 hours. So we left Mechlin at like 8 a.m., having been out till 4-ish the night before. And then we got to the airport and we're like, your flight's delayed an hour. There's no security lines on. So we just sat at the airport for 3.5 hours for no reason.
Found it. Oh, it's not going to show. Nope, not going to show. I am half of the battle points that Liam dropped at the event.
Did he only score 99? 1 point
So
on
he dropped
code?
1 point against you?
Yeah.
There you go. So I guess, Ines, do you want to transition us with plugs into the WTC content?
Let's do it. So we are StatCheck. This is the main thing we do for 40k shows. If you enjoy what we do, there are a few ways you can support us. A bunch of them are free, and we'd really appreciate if you start with those, even if you can't help us out with any of the other ones. Let's do these bits. If you are watching us on YouTube or any other form of content aggregation platform, you can drop us a like, a subscribe, a review, anything like that, What we would really appreciate most is comments, because comments really help us with getting out there and getting found by other people and showing to other people that we are active and engaged and that people like talking to us and not just sit and listen to us. And we would really appreciate all of those. Every single comment we do our best to reply to, as long as it happens within usually like a week or two of the episode. But even then, if you comment on one later back, we'll still get a notification. And if it's got an interesting question or anything like that, we'll try and pop back and answer you. So that would be deeply appreciated by all of us. What you can also do, if you're in a position to, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/statcheck. And doing that will get you access to our Discord, which is a fairly active little community where we've got a bunch of good chat going on. You can see the Beans and Bears channel, which has got some of the finestly curated memes that I saw on Twitter of all time. That's pretty much all it's for. Like, it's the channel I use the very most. You could also see a bunch of chat from WTC, a lot of behind the scenes and stuff like that. And also, it gets you access to our bonus content, which is stuff that we release generally every Friday. I know we had a week of a little less with WTC, but with generalized exceptions, we try to get out at least 15 to 20 minutes of content every Friday, and that goes out on the YouTube feed for everybody who is in the Discord. So if you are able to, we would really appreciate your support on that. If you're not, don't worry about it. We are doing this because we want to anyway. That just helps us pay Curie for all the editing and make sure that we're keeping the Tableau running, all that good stuff. If you want to see everything we do, you can check out stat-check.com. I think it's just that, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Cool. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had to check it specifically. Stat-check.com, where you can see our faction rankings, our meta rankings, whether that's one of the CRS, which is your faction adjusted score, or just pure ELO, which is terrible, but we have it because it's fun. Or if you want to see the meta dashboard, which Cliff and Curie provide the data for and curate, then you can see that there. That has been a wonderful resource that I really enjoyed using for WTC. So my pleasure. Their matrices were wrong.
That's what it's really there for, and to make
It's pretty
all
much,
our players.
it's pretty much just there for me to say, no, you're not positive into Necrons. Stop saying you're positive into Necrons. Only I am positive into Necrons with Tyranids because I can go first and win, or go second and lose. That's basically the same thing as being positive, right?
Definitely the same
Anthony
thing.
just
Anthony,
noticed that he's
you're
muted.
Someone nerf that destroyer unit, dude, please.
The 7-man destroyer unit that just deletes whatever it looks at.
My poor warriors, dude, they weren't ready.
Turns out full rerolls to wound is pretty good against Levy warriors.
Yeah, to hit also, those rat bastards.
Hey, it's only reroll ones unless it's the Silent King, or 2 or reroll ones at +1 to hit if they're not.
It's fine.
Who knew everything being able to get full rerolls was good?
Kelster, Anthony's not subtly wearing Oz colors. He's wearing a Team Australia shirt.
Yeah, this is just
Subtle.
yeah.
Subtle
This
like
is,
an Australian.
I think this one's Liam's. I have Eric's as well. I burned 2 USA jerseys for Australia jerseys.
And that's why I don't have one yet. Thanks.
It's coming. No, I gave you one. I gave you the
No,
one I was
you didn't.
wearing.
Uh-oh.
I'll get one sent to you. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I'll get it next time I see you. I'm just winding you up.
Yeah. Doesn't take much right now. I'm real tired.
This is like the most subdued violence that we'll ever probably get.
Yeah, probably. Dude, I definitely left stuff at that venue. Like, I have the end of day 3 was just like, I had no idea what was going on. I was drinking crazy Icelandic liquor with their captain and doing all sorts of stupid shit.
I was definitely just walking around offering my hip flask to people.
I was walking around accepting whatever drinks people were giving away. It was lovely.
Yeah.
So I guess on that note, we can talk a little bit about everybody's experiences.
Yeah,
Why don't we start with
let's
day
do it.
1?
Let's start with the singles, should we?
Oh,
There
that's
you
where we
go.
start. Not flying into Scotland and drinking an under
Oh yeah,
local at
you
10:30
should
in the
tell
morning.
us. You should tell us about your Scotland trip.
Oh man. So I fly out of New York at 10:30 p.m. is I think when the plane takes off. And I land in Scotland, fucking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 9 a.m. So I take a plane to take a 30-minute walk to take a hour and a half Uber to meet up with
You
Ennis.
guys got an Uber. Jesus.
Yeah, of course we did.
Of course Brian got you an Uber.
Yeah, me and Brian absolutely got an Uber. And I was like, we'll split it. And he was like, cool. And then we just never talked about it again. I think I owe Brian some money. I gotta talk to him about that.
There's Brian. Yeah, girl.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
girl.
Brian.
There he is. My sugar mama on this trip, Big Brian. So then I met Ennis and his team, and the first thing that happened when I walked in the door after they made me try that drink whose name I can't remember off the top
Iron
of my head.
Brew.
That's it. Which for the posterity just is not good. You have to have grown up on that to consider that good, or mix it with liquor. There's no world where of its own volition you drink that and you go, I would like more of that on purpose. Right after a sip of that, they handed me something affectionately called dragon soup, which is just unnerfed for Loco. And I drank that for a bit, and I got about halfway through the can, and I was like, oh, it tastes pretty good. And then I was like, oh no, that's terrible. The second you think it tastes good, you're lost. It's over already. And it was like 11 in the morning. It was way too early for that. So fucked about for a bit. Did I play a game that day? I don't think so.
No, you watched me play a bunch of games.
Yeah, I started playing on day 2. That's what happened.
Yeah, you were not in a fit emotional state to play 40K that day.
No, I had gotten like an hour and a half of sleep on the plane. And then we hung out, we went out, and then I got like 2 hours of sleep at Ennis's house. And then we did it all again. Somewhere in the interim there was like a munchie box and a cavalcade of food that was fried and not good for me.
Yeah, if you join the Discord, you can see quite a few of these pictures of just Anthony looking sad.
Yeah,
his Scotland
But the
trip.
way Anthony described it well enough that Lennon's like, I might come to Scotland.
Yeah, it's true. It was actually lovely. Like everything was really pretty. The food was all really good. The weather was actually fantastic. I love a good like in Freedom units 70 degrees in the middle of like the beginning of August. That is
Perfection.
stellar. Yeah, it was so nice. And yeah, so there was that was a good time. The second day was cool. We got to play a couple of practice games. Ennis played Sisters when we played.
Yeah, I played Manny Sisters listening to you and definitely understood what I was doing completely.
Yeah, there was no mistakes made except for my zoanthropes rolls.
Took 8 damage smites from squads from the same squad as zoanthropes on 8 Ephraim, exactly killing them both times.
Just
Dang.
kind of snap
Come
those
on,
chicks
man.
out of existence. He also had 5 rets in a ruin set up to either shoot on death me with full rerolls or overwatch me with full rerolls. So I did the better play and neuroparasited them for 5 out of 5 4-ups on the mortal wounds. Just turn them all to ash.
God damn it. I will say that it is real fun with like any zoanthrope heavy list to just roll 5 super smites across a couple phases and just watch your opponent's army just vanish to like 30 mortal wounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something special.
And you just said that like, I don't love this unit, but I understand why my opponent hates it.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. Every time I use zoanthropes, I'm like, it's not my favorite unit, but man, it makes you sad sometimes.
I get why they're okay at 150 points. Like, they're not broken, but it feels so bad getting smited by them.
It's way more annoying when you leave one on one wound and then they smite you next to a neurothrope and heal to full. That is true suffering.
My favorite thing, actually. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So,
I like it when you perils with a neurothrope, take 3 damage, and you're like, I heal this back automatically.
Yeah, just literally instantly. So yeah, that was part of the Scotland fun.
Anthony saw a church in my little town that was like maybe 400 or 500 years old, and he was like, "That's amazing." And I'm like, "Dude, we gotta get you shown some places."
I was like, "Wow, that thing is so cool. It's so old."
What did you think of the cathedral in Mechlin?
Oh yeah, that was wild. I mean, like you walk into that place and you understand like why people were so religious back then. You're like, oh, you hit the dirt with an axe for a living, and then you come in this place. I get it. So yeah, that was Scotland, and then I flew into Belgium. Ironically, all of my flights that I took, except for like literally the one into Scotland, had someone I knew on it, like basically next to me, completely on accident. So Brian and I had the same flight into Belgium, like the same day and everything, obviously. So we just flew together. Got some Indian food in Edinburgh. That was really good. And then we flew to Belgium. And
For context on Edinburgh, Anthony somehow missed the castle that's literally in the center, elevated above the skyline, a solid kilometer.
I'm
Like,
impressed.
the only thing you can see when you walk through central Edinburgh is
no
the
one
castle.
pointed at it,
Anthony
and I
missed it.
didn't look. I was to the left. There was some like cathedral, and I got distracted looking at that. And then Brian didn't point to the castle, and that was what happened.
You got to remember that Anthony's like sight line is like a solid foot below yours, so really
Yeah.
all he sees are huts. I don't
Yeah,
know
if you
how
try and
they-
draw a
they're-
line of sight from scarabs, you can never see anything.
and so it's the same with Anthony. You never see anything.
Yeah, I
except
just
the
miss
top of
things
that
unless
house.
people point them out to me.
So, the singles. I played my team's list. Jeremy, you played a Dark Angels Hell Abomination.
Yeah, I played my Ravenwing list that I've been playing for a few GTs, and I got vibe checked hard.
You had the pleasure of playing my teammate, right? We'll get to that. Anthony,
Yeah.
you didn't play. You just walked about being a gremlin.
Yeah, I had country flags on. Woo!
Getting handed math problems by Chris all day.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was my favorite bit.
You
I
can
won't
see
lie.
Anthony's hope die at being good at math. Somewhere around the third sheet of paper,
It's
he
the
just
third
started
one.
writing 69.
Yeah, it's the fourth one, I think, is where I just like I didn't even like jokingly write something on it. I literally looked at it and wrote like, "Oh yeah, not a chance," and then just gave it back.
I just remember getting one of them. You did like one of them almost completely correctly that I wasn't necessarily expecting you to do, because on the one before that you'd written, "This is too much. This are too many problems." But the next
Yeah.
sheet you did like all of it, and I was like, "What the hell, Anthony?"
I think it was round 3 to round 4.
Yes, where he did all of the linear algebra ones like by himself and got all but I think one or two of them correct, because I looked through it. You just forgot what 7 times 8 was on one of them. That's all.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a hard-
probably
It is a hard one, though.
yeah. It's weird.
But yeah, watch for the bonus content this week, and you can watch Anthony's Hope and Civilization die.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. If
But
the world
continue.
collapsed tomorrow and we needed to know that to rebuild it, we would be fucked.
It's true. So, Jeremy, tell us more about your singles experience with the Ravenwing list and why you feel like you just got suplexed into the dirt.
Well, first of all, concrete fucking floors.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
I'm going to look at this right now because I can't remember. I averaged something like 20 to 22,000 steps a day.
You did a lot more than me because you were having to walk through it. I think I managed 70 kilometers in 7 days.
Yeah, I need to look up exactly what it was, but it was something insane. But yeah, concrete fucking floors. Brian, I spent a little bit of extra time at his table whenever I could because he had a mat.
Makes sense.
And it was so relaxing to stand on that mat. But yeah, singles list. I ran Ravenwing. It's the list that I've talked about before that I've run for. I think this is the 5th GT that I ran it at. But it was double outrider, all the speeders and melta bikes you could fit into a list. My first game was against a very, very sad AdMech player who this was his first big event. And I 20-0'd him. There was no mercy because I knew it was a differential score and it was going to matter, which set me up perfectly to go into the Swiss Imperial Knights list, of which I actually would have won if an armor had not lived on 1 wound for 2 turns.
It's rough.
That was, yeah, exactly. I was just like, I put half my army into you. I put half my army into you again. No. You're just going to live, and that's going to be my life. Super friendly player. He ended up going through 3 Canadians and beating all of them, so I felt less bad with my loss at each moment after each game.
He just kept final bossing you guys.
Yeah, and in fact, he went all the way to round 6 undefeated until he ran into Jaime Paris's Nids, and he got stat checked.
Okay.
And he went undefeated in the actual WTC event as well. So I'm actually going to be running his list this weekend at a major that I'm going to.
Nice.
Because I was like, if it can beat me, I could pretty much any scrub at this at a local
I
major.
can be any Canadian with this.
Exactly.
It's already inflicted psychological damage.
It has. Both Chris
And
and
it's
Devin
Chaos Night,
came
so
out of
that's
that.
appropriate. They
It
try
was
testing
Imperial
the
Nights,
additional
actually.
-1. Oh, right.
Some national traumas already set in because of this Imperial Knights list. All of
Yeah,
Canada feels traumatized by it.
As each one of my teammates went into it, I warned them, he's a really good player. It's a good list. He's going to catch you off guard because we are not used to playing against good Knight players locally. So, and then after that, I played into the Belgian Necrons and on the Scouring, and the Belgian Necron list has 18 Scorpec destroyers in it. That is not a recipe for good times for the Raven Wing. So I just got 20 0'd. And then after that, I kind of gets fuzzy as to what I played into because that was when we got into day 2. I know I played Chris first thing in the morning. Went first into him on a table where he couldn't hide. Killed the unit of Sangard, killed the unit of Death Company, and another 3 Sangard. And then he connected with every single 6 to 9 inch charge that he could possibly make.
Turn 1 charging Centurions, Anthony. It happened.
Yep, turn 1 charging Centurions actually happened because I forgot about the +2 move. Sorry, the +2 move doesn't affect them, but I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that they were pretty close to me. I was not paying attention to that. So that was a lovely little oops. And then round 5 and 6, I genuinely don't remember what I played against. I was by that point very, very sloshed. I think I played. I know I won one of those games, or both of those games, but I don't remember what I played.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, go for it. I have it in my phone, so I can. I should just look at my
You
phone.
played Frank Robert in game 5 with his sisters.
Oh yeah. Never found that was a sad game.
6 Paragon Warsuits.
Yeah, he left the Paragon Warsuits exposed turn 1 to me. He took his first turn, was very passive, took like a couple pot shots and put 2 wounds on a regular bike. Then lost the Paragon Warsuits, lost a unit of Repentia. Turn 2, lost another unit of Repentia, lost another unit of Paragon Warsuits. Turn 3, brought in his Repentia with the intention of charging me. I had forgotten. Again, I was not present at this point in the game. Forgot that when you come in from strat reserves, you can come in on your board edge. And I had a Talonmaster sitting about 5 inches away from his board edge. But said Talonmaster could also see him.
So you Auspex scanned him.
Did you Auspex scan that shit?
I didn't Auspex scan him. I overwatched him. And because I had Arbiter's Gaze on my Talonmaster, I hit on 2s.
Well,
I warned him because I was like, you're charging the Talonmaster. The Talonmaster that has wiped 2 units of Repentia solo on his own already. He's hitting on 2s in Overwatch. Yeah, I'm charging the Talonmaster. Rolled the Heavy Bolter, killed 4. As I was picking up the Assault Cannon dice to roll, he just picked up the rest of the unit.
So you created some national trauma for somebody else, is what I'm hearing.
I definitely did. And then round 6, I played against Fyodor. I remember this now. It was Hail of Doom. And it came down to, I won by, I think it was a point, 11-9. But the only reason I won that game was a unit of Dire Avengers that was guided, shooting into a unit of attack bikes that was doomed, killed 2 attack bikes.
Average.
Math.
Yeah, math. It works.
Math.
Average,
It works.
average, mate. Yeah,
he
there it
stayed
is.
very friendly, but you could tell that he was very tilted by the end of that game because his dice just, like, he hit and wounded so much. And I was rolling. It was my first game playing with the new WTC gem dice. So I was rolling them, and I was just like, man, these dice roll really well. Just making all my 4-ups.
Oh no.
So yeah, finished
Jared,
3-3, middle bottom of the pack. Yeah, definitely was an eye-opening experience as to how well that list does not do into the international scene.
Yeah, I will say the WTC was really good for breaking my brain as far as like, oh, this is good, and oh, this isn't good. Like, loads of that information from the event isn't actually applicable in American singles, but
A bunch of it will be.
a bunch of it is.
You just got to siphon through that data.
Yeah, that was a lot of info.
Yeah. I'll
But in a
super quickly run through my singles because it's the less interesting of my two events. I played Lloyd from the French team and his Knights round 1. He went first and 5-checked a Harpy, and then I 5-checked his army. This is going to happen a lot. I went second a lot in the singles.
I watched that happen. It was pretty funny.
Ennis kept coming up to me after every game. I went second again.
Yeah.
And I think by about
I went
round,
second every game but one. Yeah.
I offered to roll
5,
his
you
go
went
first dice once, and he just wouldn't let me, and then he went second.
Game 2, I played Will from the Canadian team, and I went second, and
That
he
game
failed to
was-
5-check a Harpy, and then
that
I
game
failed
was
to 5-check a
ridiculous.
Harpy, and then he failed to 5-check a Harpy, and then I finally killed a Harpy, but it was too late. He was in my deployment zone taking my banners down. And we drew that game because we played in Recover the Relics, which is known as the board draw mission for a reason. We could have both just sat there and drawn at each other and scored a 10-10, or we could run at each other and score a 10-10. So we ran at each other and scored a 10-10. Will was a fantastic sport, though. Will forgot to do something that ended up massively backfiring when he remembered to do it because it disengaged his go to turn of warriors that managed to stop a turn being a disaster for me. So Will was a massive sport for that one, and I am very appreciative of him for doing that. I probably would have done better for the event if I just lost the game 11-9 and submarined it a little bit, but whatever. It's not important. Game 3, I think, is the game I played against the 9 Paragon Warsuits list, which I managed to do on the board where there's 6 crates in the middle that they can't cross.
There you go.
No.
But I went second. It's just walked onto the board and scored a million points. It's like, I have scored 10 Sacred Ground already. I'm like, you fucking want me? So I won that game 13-7.
He sure did it to you.
He sure did walk onto the midboard and score a million points for free for existing. Game 4, I played the Ulthway player that had played my teammate round 1, which I went second and didn't actually lose a Harpy this game. It was one of the few games that didn't lose a Harpy round 1. Instead, my Zolothops got charged by Shining Scorpions, which I did not enjoy much. But it was fine because one lived and smited himself out. I won that game 17-3, I think. But again, I went second, so I didn't score a bunch of points. Cradle feasting and chasing down Baharoth, not the most conducive thing in the world. Come here, I need to eat your brains. Come on.
I just picturing like a bunch of like Tyranid warriors like trying to run after Baharoth, and he just keeps like jumping an extra 2 inches further than they can go. So the Tyranid warriors are just constantly just like a little bit behind him as he like what's that chase music?
I connected with him twice. So I managed to get a big flesh hook charge over a bunch of crates. Like move advance, just jumped the crates. Got the charge on Baharoth, put 3 damage on him. He had taken 1 from explosion already, and then on the last turn, the Broodlord had a chance, and the guy puts 4 wounds on him, and the guy goes, "Save! I will roll the last turn." I'm like, "Dude, you have 2 6s sat there, just all past them," and he was like, "Oh yeah." And then started rolling his dice, and I'm like, "Dude, just stop!
Dude, just auto 6
It's
them."
fine. It's fine. We don't have to do this."
Did he pass them anyways? Just
No,
to
he didn't
spite
roll
you?
them. I didn't let him roll
Okay.
them. I didn't need to know.
Oh man,
That guy rolled 5 save passes turn 1. Had all because he was playing both ways, so you got an extra die. You had 5 6s. My Harpies looked at him and were like, "Right, so we just don't do damage this turn, do we?"
Pretty
Great.
much.
stellar.
They didn't do much damage.
Amazing.
And then in game 5, I played. It wasn't French. That's the one thing I'm remembering.
He wasn't French,
I
so he
played
therefore
Justin
eliminated
from the
one
Dutch
country.
team, which is the one game in the singles I went first, and it was great. I got to play any percent kill 150 racks speedrun. So I flew my Harpies about, taking a total of 3 damage all game because he didn't have any guns and killed 150 racks in 2 turns.
Yeah, he had
That was
like
great.
6 ossifactors, and that was his guns.
6 ossifactors
and he had a venom, and he had a raider.
No, he didn't.
Not after
2
turn
venoms?
1, he didn't.
Not after turn 1, he didn't. Yeah.
But he didn't have a raider. That game was real rough. I basically managed to stage the game where the Harpies went in and did whatever they want. I shot the squad that was closest to me, and then staged just far enough away that if he went for me, something was going to fail a charge. because I'm like, you can roll a bunch of 7s and 8s at me. You're not going to make all of them, and you need to make all of them. And then the Archon and Drazar failed, and only one of them could CP reroll. So the Archon goes in, Drazar stood there, and I'm like, right, so I don't lose any of this turn now.
Yep, that sounds
But
about right.
it wasn't getting better for him. He had to try, because if he waits another turn, he's down another 40 racks, and has got a grotesques or down a character or two. So it's like there was no good way for him to play that game. He played it as best he could, but I'm pretty sure I got a 15-5 in that game because he still scored a ton of primary because
100 racks.
Oh shit!
And then my last game, I played Matt Morosoli. Wait, no, I'm getting an email from my fucking teammate Brian saying that that's not true. I actually played Liam Hackett because I got repaired because my teammate can't count.
Yeah, that was funny.
So I guess we should transition to Eric Lutheris popping into chat. We transition to
your boy
our
Liam's real good at Warhams. I wish he hadn't abused me so hard.
Before Turbo falls asleep in the left-hand corners, I watch him generally just suffer in the video stream.
Yeah.
Why don't we move over to talking about the team event?
Let's talk about the teams. Oh, and congratulations to Liam, who played me in round 6 for winning the team event, for winning the singles event with 4 Ghost Arcs and the Silent King.
Playing a list that he out loud said was trolling.
That he wrote
but I'm
10
not
minutes
sure he
before
was
the
right.
list deadline.
Yeah.
2 hours. 2 hours.
Sorry, 2 hours. Okay. Still ridiculous.
He's also real good. I don't know if you.
He is quite good. He lost, but he did lose once in the singles event.
Yeah, he played
a
list.
Wasn't anybody relevant.
He played a list that he physically could not do damage to. And he killed 3 models the whole game.
It turns out that that AP 1 strength 4 1 damage
1
isn't great at killing Scarab Occult Terminators.
Nope,
Who'd have
sure
thought?
isn't.
For that
right.
matter.
Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about the WTC proper so we can make Curie shop?
Yes, we should talk about the WTC proper. So first, why don't we just talk about day one? We talk just generally about your experiences, and then we can talk about some matches maybe that you guys remember properly. Because I know eventually you guys also wanted to sleep and answer questions.
That one gif there is of the guy at like the family barbecue just walking around slapping everybody. And they're like,
Yeah.
Stop. How was your group stage, Anthony?
Yeah, our group stage was rough. So we played against Iceland, and it was fairly one-sided. I face tanked their team captain after having played him at LVO as well. And the rest of my team kind of just ran roughshod through them. We were expecting our round 2 to be really difficult because the Netherlands put up 144 in their first round against the Latvians. And then we played them and hung a triple-digit score on those boys as well. And then we played the Latvians and did the same thing, giving us a really comfy battle point cushion for the rest of the event, right up until we drew against the Aussies. So, yeah, day one was one-sided. I also got, like, the people in our pod were just like, we're not even going to try to mitigate Anthony. We're just going to feed the beast. And I got to play orcs, and I got to play against a Taoist that was not prepared to kill warriors efficiently.
And Kraken.
Oh, no.
The worst of the turret high fleets that's actually good.
The worst is strong.
It's the worst playable high fleet. There's only 2 playable high fleets, Anthony.
Oh, okay. I was like, it's not nice, but it is true. Shout out to Robbo getting annihilated by Blood Angels because he couldn't have transhuman.
Yeah. Every time I'm like, I just don't want my turret being wounded on 2s ever. I just don't think that's a thing I should have to live with as a person.
Yeah, or pay command points for.
Well,
No, that's what I'm saying. Gross.
Command points on the turn exist for running.
That's right. Yeah, just get the fuck out of there instead. They didn't run a custom, Alex. They were playing Leviathan.
Yeah, it's Leviathan with spine scope.
It's Leviathan with a different sub-adaptive.
It's whatever they gave the fancy named one to failing a charge lets you normal move
Relentless
3 inches.
hunger.
Yeah, that's it.
which is real funny because you watch those zoanthropes pop right back into a ruin.
Yeah.
Whee!
That man walked up to me, declared a charge against 6 different units, didn't even roll it, and then just moved on to an objective. And I was like, cool. Nice.
It is my favorite thing to be like, I'm going to declare that unit I can't get to because I can't go through my own models. So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Malachapter doesn't have fly, so this ruin is presenting quite an impediment to me charging you. So I'm charging you.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, actually. That whole thing was a bit of a mess.
You are
Casting
within
onslaught
12
so you
inches,
can
but I
legally
need
declare
a
a failed
15
charge.
to get there.
Yeah. So yeah, our group stage was a bit reckless. How did your guys' group stage go?
What's the opposite of fun? Actually, no.
Misery.
That's a lie.
Sadness?
Misery loves company, so us in Norway had a real good game 1 and 2.
How long did it take for you to get frustrated by your greens bringing home 4 points?
If they brought back 4 points, we'd have probably won a couple rounds.
Oh no!
No, let me start with a healthy disclaimer. Team Scotland is a new team. We are still getting to grips with this. We are still working on the whole concept of matrixing well. So some players put in some very confident match predictions, like I'm pretty sure I beat Necrons.
Poor Turbo almost choked on his water there.
Yeah, so Anthony almost choking on his water is more or less like if you imagine the water is Necrons and Anthony is my players.
Yeah.
No, so we had a pretty rough go. I think for what it was, we held it pretty close. Like we scored 58 and 62 or something in that region against both Spain and Germany, who both ended up doing really well at the tournament. Germany obviously podiuming. We held fairly close to our own, I want to say. A lot of that was down to me taking a matchup that should be like a 12 and just deciding I wasn't happy with that. It helps a lot when you're just. I went first, so for every game I went second in the singles. I took my anger. I went first 6 times in the main event. I just decided that no, I was going to use my harpies. I brought them for a reason. The reason is to put you in the ground.
Yeah, it's a good reason.
Yeah, every day except day 3 that worked really well.
Oh, harpies.
Yeah, so I think we combined. I think across the 2 Germany rounds, we unfortunately won a combined total of 3, 1, and 13 as a team. Which is not how you want to start the event. It doesn't help you on a morale level where you're just like kind of getting beasted a whole bunch. We had a lot of really close games, a lot of really good games. Like against Germany, none of our games were blowouts. We held it to like, we got like 15-5 and 13-7. It was just everywhere. So all our matchups that were like all our matchups that were 3s, we got the low side of a 3. All the matchups that were like a green, we got a draw instead, kind of thing. So it just ended up being, they were a little bit more practiced than us. Maybe I'm not gonna say they were better players than us because I don't want that to be the takeaway because there's always things we could have worked on here. But they were better prepared. They had better lists. They had Necrons, which is pretty nice. Helps quite a lot.
Yeah, it's strong.
So yeah, that was games 1 and 2. Game 3, we had the pleasure of playing Norway, who I don't believe we played in a while. We played them in 2016, which is or 2017, which is when I was coaching, and they were all really good guys. But they have a very new team this year as well, and we kind of did the same thing to them that had been done to us. I took their Necron player, and I said to him before the game, "I'm here to take out some anger issues, buddy. I don't think your list is very good into me." And then I told him my secondaries, and before he had started like looking at. I just was like, so I'm taking behind enemy lines. Before he had looked at the secondaries. Was like, these are mine. You can pick yours now.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I did that to him. It's one of those games where your opponent just kind of misevaluates your threat range and how much you can do with the misevaluated threat range. And you get to just advance and charge warriors off a 5-inch advance and just be in your opponent's deployment zone now. And you're not leaving once you're there.
Yeah.
We did have the pleasure of playing against their Tyranids player. Their Tyranid player, who ended up being the second highest scoring player of the tournament, beat the brakes off our ad mech. So it's not like it was just an easy round. Like there was definitely definitely some good rounds. They still scored 60 points. So I look forward to seeing what Norway do in the future because they're really good to play. Spain and Germany also absolutely no issues. Wonderful people to play against. The Germans had a bit of unfortunate with some stolen equipment after the event, and there's
Oh, there's a GoFundMe. I'll grab
there's a
a link for
GoFundMe
that.
for that, which we'll plug in put in the description for this one. But the Germans unfortunately got robbed, lost all their streaming equipment, bunch of money and stuff like that, which was really unfortunate. They're really good guys, and I think we're going to pitch them for home nations this year because they were really fun to play against and they're really good. So, plus me and Fred took pregnancy photos because I'm so much fatter than him. So,
So Jeremy, how did your group stage go for Team Canada?
So I do want to highlight before we get into this. This is the GoFundMe for the German team for them to have their equipment replaced. If by some miracle everything ends up getting returned to them, this is just going to go towards funding Team Germany 2023. Either way, going to an absolutely amazing cause. I feel terrible that what happened to them. They're in the middle of celebrating a podium finish and came back and find their stuff gone. So, our day one, we had arguably the best pod or the most fun pod you could ask for.
you guys had the English speaking pod plus Sweden, right? So
we had well, I mean Wales, so debatably English speaking.
They added a couple extra consonants in every letter or every word, just for fun.
And every letter.
Tom, skip round one, please. I have to talk about it. So we played Wales round one. So I was the coach. So I obviously didn't play in anything. I just went through and yelled at my teammates to be like, "No, you said you were going to get me a 12. Can you please get me a 12, not a 6?" That happened.
Are you sure you weren't coaching Scott?
So I actually went through, and I'm not gonna post this anywhere, but I went through and did a performance assessment to see how the team did overall, and I was just like, all right, this is your predictions. This is your predictions going first or second. You went first or you went second. I have all these lovely sheets that I was filling out as the
Screenshot that,
rounds were
boys.
going
You
on.
can sell that.
Yeah, go for it. If you can read my handwriting, it might be worth something to you, but that was Wales on there. And overall, like the guys actually weren't that bad. On average, our team was off by 1 point across the 8 players every round, every game.
That's because some of your players were wildly up and some were wildly down.
There were two there was one that was wildly up, there was one that was wildly down, and the other 6 were actually very close in all of their predictions. There were 2 that missed their prediction by. There was one that missed his prediction by 2 battle points overall the entire event, and the other one that missed it by 5. So I was I was very happy with those 2 players because I knew that I could throw them into almost any matchup and they would get me the 10 points.
Out of curiosity, is that averaged across the 5 or is that absolute value off? So like is that because they were like up 3 and 1, down 2 and another, and that averages to +1?
Yeah.
Or was it they were off by 5, they were off by 2, they were off by blah blah blah? And
no, it's not absolute. I should do absolutes next, but right now I was just looking at how far down or how far.
I would recommend trying to look at it on the absolute value because the average of how far they were off doesn't help a lot, because if you're off by 20 in one game, and then you predict like a 15, you get a 10 in one game, that puts you down 10, and then you're up a little bit on all your other predictions, it'll average out to looking pretty neutral, but that's definitely not what happened. Your player underpredicted and had a blowout game. So just keep an eye on that because it can.
And I will say that
the averages on that one will definitely lie to you.
The 2 players that had the 3 players that had the biggest swings, one was he wildly underpredicted his games and just blew them out. Now, mind you, some of them were mirrors where they lists were identical, so it just came down to pure player skill.
That should have been a 10, but wasn't.
Yeah, that should have been a 10, but it was an 18. So the other player
usually that should be a swing.
Yeah, which we marked it as a swing and said we don't want this bearing, and then they rejected him, and he wound up in the pile where we rejected
anything. Yeah, the other thing to watch for on that one, if you told your player to push at any point, mark that in your notes.
Oh, I have that marked.
Because
there were two very big games for one particular player where I told him to push. We ended up winning the round, but with a position when I was looking at it at that particular update, we were losing the round. So I was like, I'm gonna need like 2 extra points or 3 extra points from you. Take a risk. and then the risks didn't pan out, and he ended up.
I'll just roll the
lower
9-inch
than
charge.
Yeah, I'll just make a 9-inch charge and then fail to kill anything.
Don't recommend
Brutal.
that. Our
Yeah.
poor elder player got two
So-
11-inch charges done to him turn one, or game one against
Oh, no.
Thousand Suns. It's
Yeah,
like the
Wales-
one arm you don't want to give extra mobility, and Thousand is just like 11-inch charge, 11-inch charge. I guess I win.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Wales was great. They were a ton of fun to play. We scored 100-something points into them. There was, in some cases, a clear skill disparity. In some cases, we got the pairings that we really wanted. But they were just absolutely lovely. Sweden was where we got which we really got challenged. I was talking with their coach, and he was like, "Yeah, we got the pairings we wanted." And we're like, "Oh no, we got the pairings we wanted." Uh-oh.
One of us is super wrong.
One of us is super wrong. Turns out it was us, and that we really should not have paired our Tyranids into their Tyranids, because the Swedish Tyranid list is designed to kill Tyranids. And it went from what was...
This is I think of Warriors specifically.
Yeah.
It didn't do so hot against the...
Predicted by my Tyranid player to be a 13, and I should have looked at that number more carefully when doing pairings, and he got a 3.
Yeah, that's
Ouch.
rough.
Yeah,
That's a bad go.
And we missed the draw by exactly that differential. So that was
pain.
because the other players tended to be pretty close to what they said they were going to get me, so I wasn't. It was pretty good. And then round 3 we played Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland were absolutely lovely, but as Cattle was talking about afterwards,
their captain's the best.
he is so lovely.
Cathal is lovely. It's
Cathal
also
is-
pronounced cat hole, guys. Just to make sure you get that right.
Yeah, you just read the back of
Hole.
his shirt. Cattle.
No, cat hole.
I'm going to call him Cattle.
Cat hole.
Cat hole, yeah.
It feels more right to say it the other way for some reason, and I'm not
It's,
sure what
it's,
it is.
it's actually pronounced cat hole, but
Yeah.
Anyways, Cattle. He was their whole team was just absolutely lovely. I got to meet Wholesale, who I've known for years online and never had the opportunity to meet until that. And we soundly put them into the ground by the same margin that we put Wales into the ground by.
Brutal.
There were definitely some. By this point, we also discovered that our Drukhari list was absolutely amazing into Necrons, which was not something that had come out when we had tested it. It turns out that apparently Drukhari that can turn off OBSEC is pretty good into OBSEC Necrons.
Yeah.
And when you can just swarm the board with Rax, Grotesques, and Incubi, it works out in your favor pretty well.
Having the fly keyword against Necrons makes them a lot less scary.
that's what I've heard. 27
True.
Scarabs just in the way. It's pretty good.
That's real annoying.
All right, day 2. We got our draws overnight. Who were you all playing?
England.
That was big news in the on the internet. Everybody was talking about the day 2 pairing between US and England.
Man, that was funny because that was one of our easier rounds. Not personally, I got fucking rocked, but it worked out for everybody else.
Run
It's
us through
okay.
it quick.
Yeah, I mean that's the point, right?
Yeah.
take the stuff that yes, that was the round where I put a number in the matrix and then someone who shall be unnamed for now changed it and then gave me shit when I didn't hit the number. That was good. Yeah, that round was fun. I played a good game against Mr. Alex Harrison. That was it. I lost. It wasn't super exciting. I stood in the middle and did Warp Ritual and smacked Baby Knights for points. And then his secondaries are untouchable, and I could barely put up banners because he kept putting Obsec Knights on things and killing me.
They're pretty good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, they do the murder slam well. That stupid battle cannon is terrible into Armor of Contempt and really good at killing warriors.
Yeah, it is. God, I hate that thing so much.
Yeah, that thing's stupid annoying. Because I know in my heart, from when I played Knights, that it's not good most of the time, but it's really good into Tyranids.
And it does have the best bondsman.
Oh, the Paladin by far has the best bondsman. Yeah.
Remember once him who was shooting in combat? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it turns out. So
Maybe just a little.
I dropped that round, but on the whole, we were able to flip a lot of matchups and broadly hold the line, and we put up another triple digit win. So yeah, that was round 1 of day 2 was real good. How'd you guys do?
Curie? Because I'm trying to remember who we played. Oh, God, that's
We
bad.
went into Finland, and I had a great time with the coach. Most of my players had amazing rounds. They just really enjoyed themselves. But we broadly missed the mark on a couple matches, namely our Tyranids going into Imperial Knights did not go well. And
Fair.
by this point, we were starting to reconsider how we were going to be doing the Matrix for the Tyranid player, because there were it turns out a lot of games were either a lot swingier or a lot just were not the way that we were hoping that they were going to be.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was pretty broadly annoyed with my list by like round 2. There were so many aspects of it that if I just changed like tiny things, it would have been like hilariously better. But
One chaff unit, please, for the love of
yeah,
God.
oh
chaff
my
units.
god,
You mean like a unit of gargoyles?
I
No,
would
like
have.
one. No, like one Pyrovore, man.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
to
Yeah,
sit
I
on my
wanted
home
to-
objective, so I don't have to
Yeah,
leave my Nura throw.
I rewrote the list on the plane on the way over to take my 6 Mern warrior units down to 5s, and if I just cut upgrades, I get 3 Biovores out of it, which would have been disgusting all weekend.
The amount of move blocking you can do on WTC tables with 3 bio.
Dude, I lost a
insane.
fucking walking hive tyrant from full health to 8 spore mines. Just full health, dead.
Actually, that's actually average. Yeah.
It did 12 more wounds.
Biovores are S tier. It's true. Just
Yeah.
S tier
My man-
unit.
My man rolled no 1s and 4 5-ups, and all of them were 2 or higher. And I was like, bye. I was like, he was supposed to soak like 1 smite. What the fuck?
I will add the other highlight from that round was our Blood Angels player going into Hail of Doom, and the Hail of Doom player was extremely confident because I found out that in round 3 he had 20 out a Blood Angels player. So I was like, okay, this will be interesting. And Sam went and 12-8'd him.
Ah,
Nice.
It was just like, Sam went into it, it's like, this is like a 9, maybe a 10 at best. I was like, great. He went first, and I would just watch as he put his death company and tagged 5 different units, killed one, and then just was like, and all of this is now engaged. Enjoy.
that was bad.
And he didn't get table pick, but or at least I don't think he did. At this point, no, he wouldn't have gotten table pick, which meant that, but the Hail player gave him craters to sit in with his Sangard.
Nice. The vents, dude.
Yeah,
The
those vents were
The
light
vents
cover,
are so mighty.
armor contempt. Your AP4, I don't care. I'm only AP2.
Look, man, our Venturians love those.
Oh,
Yeah, we had Denmark this round. We've played Denmark, I think, at every team tournament we've been to since 2018 now.
That's
And
a lot.
they've definitely gone. Yeah, I think we've played them 5 times now. We've definitely gone through the stages with them because we both used to be. We played round 2 of the WC where we came 2nd and 3rd respectively, which was pretty good. And then we played them here and we came 17th and 18th. So clearly we're just following the same cycle here of we used to be pretty good and all our players left. So we ended up drawing with them. I had a really fun game into Henrik, who was playing Harlequins and scraped the 3 points as you needed for the draw. It turns out Harlequins are priority targets, score points really well. It's kind of hard to stop.
Yeah.
Just
they
like
were doing that.
just got like Tyrant Guard chasing a boat around the backfield, trying to stop us with a Harlequins from rotting. Like, fucking come here, you little bastards!
Yeah.
Didn't catch him. It's like,
Yeah, Harlequins are the worst. I'm really sad that I didn't end up taking them to WTC. I think for the role that I ended up in, which was like the soak the hard stuff, it would have been a lot easier.
They did extremely well there.
You would do. Like, the boards are so nice for them. They're so fast. Like, you can do a lot with a little clown magic on those boards.
Truth.
round 5, we got the leavings of Canada and got to play Northern Ireland.
Ah,
Who continue to be wonderful people who I'm very good friends with. I played Maliki and his Chaos Knights. I got to pick board for this game.
Oh no!
And he's playing all melee Chaos Knights. And I went, see that board that's got all the containers in the middle? You want to go stand on that one? And he looked at it and went, Do I have to?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I finished tabling him within 45 minutes, and got to go and sit for the rest of the round, which was real nice because by game 5, which was the 11th game I had played, my feet were fucking killing me.
Yeah. I didn't do too well with that.
Yeah, we ended up winning that round 88-72, which is I don't want to use this as like a litmus test, but if we were sweating the round against Northern Ireland, we were not going to do well at this tournament. As much as I love the guys from Northern Ireland, they're a team that if you want to do well, you should be beating at the moment. And this was definitely an eye opener of, yeah, we got to work on some stuff.
Yeah. We drew
I
the
have told
Aussies.
everybody about the yoga mats, Tom. The yoga mats were fantastic. We're getting
Yeah.
team branded one next year. I'll be
Yeah,
swapping them for shirts.
Yeah, that shit was important. So in round 5, we drew the Aussies. It was definitely what felt like a bit early for a matchup of this level. But that's life at the WTC post pods. So we talked about this matchup a bunch the night before. We knew that it might, it could happen if we did well, and we went into it with slight flaws in the game plan. I was able to correct some overconfidence that we had, but I think we just there was some gentle misunderstanding of matchups there, and across the board we largely did pretty well, but boy was my pairing not good. I think mission agnostic into Liam's list, it's probably something like a 10, but on Death and Zeal it slips to a 5. Going second on Death and Zeal, I honestly, most of the time, I think I get a 0. He went first, and how you put dice, to put out where your deployment zone is in missions sometimes? He just did that to my deployment zone with Scarabs, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you're just going to stay right there for an entire turn. You can kill this unit and charge past it or whatever, but you get, your pilot and consolidate his movement, and that's it. Yeah.
And one squad can overrun, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Eric, your list doesn't do anything. It just scores points, bro. So
it's not good, it's just fast.
It's not good, it's just fast. That's right. So yeah, he says as he's still pulling parts of Sister's armor out of his fucking GSC and
yeah, they got a full extra uprising planned on the Shrine World.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Tyranid warrior heads mounted on his wall from the turn against that one poor bastard where he killed 30 of them in a turn. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Eric did horrible things to people this weekend. So yeah. So we definitely got flip dumped in a bunch of places. We came out the quote unquote winning side of the draw, but it wasn't by enough points, and it was still just a draw, which had very clearly different reactions from the two teams. I was psyched. I was like, holy shit, we're still in it. Hell yeah. Large portions of my team did not necessarily share that enthusiasm. And the Aussies were real excited to be in the running still. And they obviously, that mental strength and fortitude is what kept them in it to win it. Quite literally. So shout out to them for being both the nicest and the strongest team there. That was definitely one of all the games that I played, Liam was one of the most fun. So good job, Aussies.
Liam's a pretty good get at play.
Yeah, Liam was
Canada,
awesome.
Quickly.
Yeah, round 5 we played Ireland. We had again just a really fun round. We lucked out with our opponents for 6 out of 7 of our rounds where we just played the English speakers or the vaguely English speakers, and it worked out really nicely.
Better than the English speakers.
Yeah, they really did. But yeah, we had a great time. Highlight again from that, Mr. San Procopio. We put him into the captain, Pierce, who was playing Death Guard. He was playing Ferryman with 45 Plague Marines, and Sam 14-6'd him, which was not what Pierce was expecting out of that game, but it came down to a clutch play where Dante fought on death and killed the Blight Spawn.
Nice.
At which point, everything went in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't make me not use any of my tricks anymore? Excellent.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dante's damage to finally find something it can kill. One model with 4 wounds.
And no invuln. That is the key. But yeah, overall, just we beat them 97-63. But yeah, they were a pleasure to play. And I will say that afterwards, Pierce, one of the things that he had said at the end of the event was they had kind of a rough go of things up until then, and them playing us reinvigorated the team and kind of reminded them why they play 40K. So hearing that from him was just it floored me. I was extremely happy to hear that. Yeah,
it's like the most positive compliment you can receive from another team.
And especially losing to us and saying that, like if they had won and said that, sure, you won a game. But yeah, the fact that we beat them and that they were still really just happy to keep playing was amazing. I was extremely happy. Round 6.
But we need to speed run the last couple of days because I want to do questions and go to bed at a reasonable time. So speed run.
Let's just get a highlight from each of the next 2 rounds, like a quick recap.
I'll do
elevator
pitch real quick on for Canada then. Round 6, we played the Netherlands. We lost by 1 point. It was the most painful point because we found that,
you look back and you're like, there were points here.
Oh yeah, there were definitely points to be had. But yeah, we had a great time against them. They were a super friendly team to play. Hung out a lot with Tom Rocks and their other 2 or 3 coaches that they had. I realized that I wish that I had a team of coaches at that point.
Yeah, real good having multiple.
Yeah, and then round 7, we played Italy. I'm not going to say anything about this round. Next one.
Moving on.
Innes.
We played Finland in Game 6, which was really cool because my twin is Finnish. Nobody doesn't get that joke. You just need to work on that. You should just get to the WTC, you understand. We had a really, really, really rough round here. This was just one of those rounds where our matrix was just off in too many places for us to comfortably get some points. My Turtle player continued my Advent player continued his thing of pair him to our first defender. He plays their nids. We go on the board where they can't hold objectives, and he shoots them for 10 points. He did that 3 times. Scored 9 to 10 points 3 times. It was massive props, Gavin, for finding a way to make that list work. Because if you weren't Siegler, Admec was not good this WTC.
Even as Siegler, they were just okay.
Yeah, and you guys played some pretty shit teams as well, which helps. Hey, I'm joking. Yeah. Love you, Latvia. The Latvians were really nice, by the way. They were out drinking with us on the Saturday night.
Yeah, they're
really,
awesome.
really nice guys.
He's also clearly joking because we played 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 3rd, or 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 3rd. So we couldn't have been that bad.
So England and shit teams.
Just terrible teams.
I had a really fun game this round. I played the only Chaos Knights player who's ever made me sweat, which he did by deciding that he just didn't want to fail saves against Harpies turn 1. I successfully did 4 damage with 2 Harpies. It was real rough.
Nice.
And then they died to just the Meltas from the 5 Armigers he had.
That'd do ya. That's a bad day.
It's not average. That shouldn't happen.
Average.
Sometimes it does. Average, mate. Average.
Every single time from now on, average is average.
Yeah. So we've got three good in jokes as a team now. Average, mate, is the ever abiding. The consolidation word I can't say, which if you don't know the story from me, you should definitely get from me in person sometime.
Yeah.
And Vect, anytime anyone in real life says something you don't agree with, you just shout Vect until they stop doing it.
Yep.
So whenever Chris tries to put on some rock music in the car, me and Matty will just shout Vect until he turns that shit off.
Perfection.
It's like, no, we're not listening to your Scandinavian death opera, mate. Stop it. Vect.
Did we get your round 7 in this?
Our round 7, we had the pleasure of playing Austria, who held us to a draw. Austria played really well. It was also the only game I lost. I played their captain in the Nidsmere, who was a massive fan. Who was like, I knew your name before I knew Alex Harrison and all the other toppers. I'm like, that's painful to hear because I don't like that. I'm like, I've been doing this too fucking long.
It's not the direct association that I want.
No, me neither. But whatever. But it was like, yeah, no, you were like the first pro player I'd heard of, and I'm like, I'm not. First of all, I'm not a fucking pro player. How dare you suggest that?
Yeah.
And then second of all, oh, that's really nice. And then he went first and proceeded to just massively beat me to the ground.
Yeah.
It was so painful, man.
Why?
It's great. I love watching my opponents not offensively tagged Harpies do more damage than my offensively tagged ones. It
Yeah.
just hurts in your soul. It's like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be losing this trade war, but I am, and there's nothing I can do about it anymore.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get lit up.
Yeah, once you just like have less things than the other turned list does, it's
Mhm.
real bad.
Yeah. Not ideal.
So Anthony, round 6 and 7, highlights, lowlights.
But yeah, all shirt
yes.
were amazing. Their shirts were the best of the tournament. That's not
They did have strong shirt game. Round 6 played the Poland team, and I got to play against their captain, who was not meant to play the army he was playing, and still made me sweat the entire game. That man is an absolute monster. Shout out to Typhus as he goes by. He is an absolute stud. We jersey swapped at the end. We had a really fun game. He did a really awesome thing where he kept having to, for the 2 charges his Archon got to make before he got smited to death, he rolled double ones the first time and then had to CP reroll it, which was a little sad. That was pretty much it. I don't think there was anything else that happened that was super crazy in that game. Yeah. And then in the last round, I played against the German NIDS list. And I told the story briefly a minute ago, but he blasted the Sweden NIDS the round before. And I think he was just like a touch too confident in how much damage his list would do. So he moved his Maliceptor up, and just through like a series of unfortunate events, his Maliceptor moved up to a unit of 2 units of 6 Tyranid warriors. And he was planning to like smite and shoot and do Maliceptor and Harpy things to them. The Maliceptor got its smite denied and then failed its follow-up power. And then the Harpy, between like all its Venom Cannon shots, either missed or failed the wound. And then he killed like 1 through the virtue of Stinger Salvos. And then he got charged
the best Harpy weapon.
Yeah, he got charged by 10 Tyranid warriors and died to the saves from the first 3. So average mate is rough. So yeah, it was bad. That Maliceptor died for freezies, and then one of his other Harpies got glopped by the Reaper, and he lost 500 points on turn 2 after having lost most of his trash turn 1. So yeah, he was doing a lot of holding objectives with parasites and stuff. It was a sad round for the homie. But
but not the homies team.
Not the homies team. The homies team did really well into us. Broadly, they scrapped it out, got the draw, which knocked us off the podium and into 4th, and knocked them onto the podium.
Nice.
Hashtag anybody but England and America, buddy.
It's true. It kept us both out of there.
So, in summary, thumbs up would do again. Thumbs down would never do again.
Oh, no,
Thumbs
it was an
to the
incredible
side.
event. I would absolutely go back. I probably won't be playing for a national team, though, next year.
I would put my feet out, but after being on those floors for a week, nobody needs to see my feet right now.
Yeah, his legs.
Yeah, I got my legs out.
Thumbs down, I missed my co-host. Please never leave.
Yeah. Well, you just have to come with us next year, and we'll just not do a show
You
that
can,
week.
you can come coach for Scotland.
I'll
Every
come-
team
I'll
needs
co-coach for
coaches.
you, Innes. I'll co-coach for you, Innes. I don't care.
I would
I'll
definitely
co-coach for
appreciate like,
whoever.
at least another one.
Sure.
2 with one was fine. 2 would have been nice, especially because the second coach would have meant that when mine passed out on Thursday, I would have had a
He was
coach.
Gone.
I'm going to very briefly tell the story
Words
without
hurt,
mentioning the person's name. My coach got out on the Wednesday, came to the venue on the Thursday, and proceeded to drink a liter bottle of vodka in 3 hours and pass out at a table.
It's funny because I am like a person who does not really drink. So I would be your only sober coach driving the bus.
Dude, it was real rough. We had to like wait for an extra hour so he would wake up so we could walk him home because like Mechlin was bad for taxis at the best of times. Trying to smuggle a drunk coach into one would not have been good.
All right. So we'll transition to questions, and I'll try to run it real quick for everybody because I know Innes wants to do the questions.
Did we do Canada's day 3?
Yeah, we did.
We did.
Cool.
We
I couldn't
didn't talk
remember.
about rounds.
We did
I have
Canada first.
I have a buddy that wanted to push a question through real quick, and I think this is broadly something that we should answer because it seems like a good thing.
Do
So
it now.
it's their first GT coming up this weekend. They want some opinions on what to do as a first timer and things to be aware of. Oh,
Bring
bring
snacks.
food and water to be on Innis's, because I did my first GT not that long ago. Bring snack bars, bring water. Don't over caffeinate. You will regret it. Try to just generally take care of yourself. Do some stretches. Try to get a good night's sleep. Try to have fun.
Network.
Like,
Try to
just
talk
sit
to your
down while
opponents. Find out like about anybody that if you don't play like a local club or anything like that, try and talk to somebody locally. Talk to your opponents. Get some feedback from them after the game. Enjoy yourself. Don't expect to beat the world your first GT. If you do, more's the better. It'll be really fun for you. I definitely know players that have 4-1, 5-0 their first GTs. There's no reason it can't be you as well, especially if you're prepped. But don't expect it. Just it'll be nice if it happens. Set a goal. Try and be happy if you stick to it, or take feedback on board if you don't.
Jeremy, you're up.
Yeah,
You had
and
an
I
answer.
will add one other thing. Don't be afraid to sit down while your opponent's taking their turn. Because you're going to be standing for 5 games, and you're going to be dead by the end of that weekend, or 6 games if it's a real GT.
Especially if the floors are concrete.
Bring some aspirin too. You may just want to take it like before you go to bed the night after like the first 3 rounds and standing up for 12 hours that day. You may just want to take a couple to help your back recover.
Yeah, I would actually say to take it prophylactically, like take it ahead of time. You will thank yourself later. And Wolf in chat actually has a really good point. In between rounds, take 5 minutes, go outside, get some fresh air, clear your head. Don't think about 40K because it's very easy to lose the mental game. It's very easy to get caught up in how you did in your previous game, any mistakes or things that went wrong in that game, and have that affect your next game. We were very careful when we were playing our rounds at the WTC that after every single round, be like, okay, Sweden is done. We lost. We have Northern Ireland now. We don't care what happened in the last round. We're going to learn from it, but we're going to keep going, and we're going to just focus on the moment, focus on the present issues.
And drink a liter of vodka in 3 hours. You'll be fine.
don't do that one.
Our first question from the Discord is from Pierce. It's what armies most over and underperformed according to your expectations during the WTC?
Man,
Sisters did kind of garbage, didn't they?
They did.
We used ours as like the bus, and they did great in the role that we wanted.
Yeah, but they just I felt like I never saw Sisters getting good points. They were always like the list that everybody was prepped to be into.
Mm-hmm. We just wanted them to get fucking 6, and they got like 9 most of the time. So it was our Sisters player like above and beyond overperformed. For us, the Custodies American list. This is now our chance to talk some mild shit about that. Did real well all weekend. Butchered Sisters when it played against it. Really cleaned up against most things that we paired it into. It was also piloted by John, but that sounds like context, and context is for losers. So
Didn't you guys play double knights a few times and not win the round?
But yeah, that wasn't because of that.
I know.
The lists that were brought to do that did great. Yeah, same as Eric. We used our Sisters to just like pick up garbage, and it did really well with that in general.
We definitely found it a struggle trying to get the Sisters into a position where it could get big wins, which you kind of
it just doesn't do
felt
that.
like what we wanted it to do, but yeah, they ended up just being a miserable.
Yeah. For you
I know
guys,
some teams managed it, but
for you guys, it's a bit of 601. Like that's a bit of a player problem, right? Because Brian's like one of your better players, and he could have been playing Tau and just scrapping people. But that's how that goes when you change armies 5 minutes before. Trust me, I know.
I don't want to say Necron's overperformed, but Necron's fucking Jesus Christ, Necrons.
Yeah, Necrons was ridiculous.
Leave some fucking points for the rest of us.
Yeah. So how do you think information gained from the WTC will impact the singles meta?
I don't think it should a ton necessarily. There's specific things that can. It depends how much your singles are played on WTC terrain. Like Americans
are going to try a lot of lists.
Yeah, people are going to try a lot of this stuff, but it's going to backfire. Like, I was literally talking to Liam after we finished. I was like, would you play this in singles? And he was like, oh, no. Like, because on a lot of the terrain, like, the unbuffed unit of Scarabs gets lit the fuck up and then doesn't, like, refresh. Real bad.
I don't know. I could see it on, like, LGT terrain. There's enough of it that'd be fine.
Maybe on
If
LGT
you know
Train, but like it would never work on like Games Workshop Train or something like that because you can't actually.
Can't hide that many 4-mil bases. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
if you know your terrain and it's dense enough, then you probably can run it, but probably not in any other situation, right?
We've always had the situation where for ETCs in the past, there's been a couple of lists that have been developed for WTC that were probably just good and simply before that just weren't seen, and then they come out of the woodwork and we'll just start playing them. I reckon we'll see a few lists like that. People will probably end up playing a bunch of Ghost Stars as well, which will be really funny to see.
renewed respect for Tau and GSC would I'd hope to see coming out of this because a lot of the stuff that like Eric was doing, for example, wasn't super predicated on being on WTC Train. He
It's
just
good reserve mechanics, right?
he just showed up and destroyed you.
All you got to do is mic control your opponent to forgetting that Oswic's Cannon and Overwatch exist, right?
Well, Eric didn't do that. That was the Germans, but yes, that does help.
No, is that the
Okay. We're gonna pull through 3 rapid questions for 3 different people real quick from Chris. Innes, how tilted are you that Chris managed to convince you to let him bring Centurions?
Not at all. I trust my players.
That was
Anthony, have and will your arteries ever recover?
I don't know, honestly. I'm not sure if I'm jet lagged or just ate in Scotland too much.
And then I've answered the question that Chris asks me multiple times throughout this podcast where I tell everybody that I missed my co-hosts. I'm worried they think that like I hate them or something. Or that making a podcast with you guys is like a chore when it actually is quite enjoyable. And then the serious question is, which Jeremy can answer because he gets a question now for himself. For those of us at the WTC heard the amount of practice some teams had put in before the start of the WTC, particularly after Nephilim was released, how can they do so much practice effectively? I think this is more of how would you change to like practice effectively for the next WTC?
How the fuck did Sweden play 60 games in Nephilim each? I'm not sure I played 60 games now after WTC.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, what do you think? Go, Jeremy.
So the big thing is that I'll actually say I felt that my team was
All right, bye, Nathan.
All right, bye, Nathan. Was that our team actually was probably a little underprepared on that. We did not play nearly as many reps with our list as we should have. But there is definitely something to be said for being able to get in that many reps. It means that and it's unsurprisingly, but especially as you get close to the WTC, 40K becomes a full-time job for you. And you need to be able to balance it out. And the expectation of, where we've been talking since everything went down about what the new expectation will be for players of the team, players that get selected to travel for the team. And it's like, is asking for someone to play 20 games in July with their submitted list reasonable?
Yeah, it definitely can be.
Then Innes, with WTC over, what faction are you planning on playing?
Nids, I hate myself.
Yeah. But yeah, Eric made a really good point. They actually had a full week where the team was together and practiced. Being able to do that with the Canadian team would be absolutely amazing. If Australia can do it with how spread out they are, then there's no reason that Canada can't.
Yep.
So the next question is a little bit answered by a few different people in the Discord. So if you're in the Discord, you can see an answer from a few different team people. And it's how much does it cost to go to the WTC, not including flights? So mostly hotel, event costs, food, etc.
I'll give my breakdown because we've been doing it recently.
It was about £1,000 total, I would have said.
Yeah, I would say about that. Definitely not staying at that hotel again, but
no, we want food in the mornings.
Food and AC.
Yeah,
I can live and breathe.
The hotel I stayed at was fucking wonderful. Definitely recommend Hotel VE. Yep, that place is amazing. And it was also right next to where all the drinking got done, which was also real good.
Good
plan. You kept trying to get us to stay there. I'm not convinced it wasn't for nefarious reasons, but
I was just saying, you could crash and have AC, bro. I just was looking out for the homies.
But yeah, it wasn't any more expensive than a typical event.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, the only difference is that you're there for a lot longer.
Yeah, right? You're there for forever, so it's more expensive in that regard. But outside of that, it's not so bad.
What's the best?
Yeah, I think I heard the estimate
to get into a WTC team.
This feels very nation specific because each nation has like its own selection process. Like the United States is, how well do you know some people and how well do you perform?
The quickest way is probably to become best friends with Chris Haynes.
Not anymore.
Oh,
he's stepping down.
We're having, I mean, this is internal, but we are going to be selecting a potentially new captain this year.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
I can't leave. I've been told I'm not allowed to.
And then there's only one more question. Question for the captains. Can you share with us just how much behind the scenes stuff you had to do to get your teams ready for WTC? And Anthony, you can also ask this because you're exposed to how much stuff you get asked to do. And then Jeremy obviously can also answer this because he also is exposed to that.
I just don't want
There
this
are
question to
weeks
be
I
interesting.
put more work into the WGC than my real job by like a factor of like 1.5 times as many hours.
Yeah.
It's so much work, man. You gotta just organize everything because your players won't do shit off their own back. You have to I had to like I don't say this to be rude, but you've got to chase them to make sure they've got passports because if one of them doesn't have a passport, you've got to chase them for booking flights, booking hotels, booking any other travel arrangements, making sure they have their army, chasing them for conversion requests, getting dice made, getting tape measures made. I had to get our logo redone this year because we didn't have the vector file because the previous captain just vanished into the ether. You've got to make sure that they're playing practice games, make sure they're playing practice games against people who are worth playing practice games against, make sure they're taking on feedback from those practices. You just got to do all this amount of stuff where you're basically just like coaching 7 players on top of it. And then you're trying to make sure that you are able to stay conversant in every other player's every possible army so that they can come to you to talk about whatever problem they're having with their army at the moment. You could be like, well, I feel like I need you to make this tweak so it can be better to this matchup. And I can be like, well, I don't think that will help you because of this and this and this, which means that you have to be high level conversant in every army in the game, basically. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of fucking work. You can delegate some of it. But my vice captain had a difficult year in that he had a kid and basically just vanished off the face of the earth. So I did a lot of that solo this year, where normally he would be part of the team. Eric, age 28, 20 years in 1 year. It feels about right.
It sounds accurate.
Criven's
Curie,
asked if there
do
was
you have anything to add?
Yeah, for us, it was like I wasn't the captain, I was the coach, but I took on a lot more duties as we got closer to the event. Spent an inordinate amount of time deep diving people's matchups into lists, just making sure that they understood what those lists were capable of because the meta and Nephilim and everything hit so fast and everything was evolving. So getting people to make sure that they understood, yes, that is an Imperial Knight list that has that can have up to 5/4++ -1 damage armigers running at you. Yes, that is a problem for your army.
And then,
No, that doesn't sound like a big problem, Anthony. Why would that be a problem?
Honestly, that list is very beatable if you read the mission you're about to play.
Yes, it is. But
and then, Anthony, were you about to ask Crivens' question from chat? Was there any room for orc lists if anyone was going to redo their team makeup in hindsight?
Yeah, we probably should have had Mark play orcs. There was definitely ways to make good orc lists that scored like pretty well in the scrum like mess matchups. And we're just like, I'm gonna stand here and score like a 9. If you try and disrupt that, I'm gonna clown on your forehead.
I'd have cut Chaos Knights, Drakari, and Admech from our roster. Orcs would definitely be one of the ones I'd have looked at for one of those slots.
Yep. They were really, the secondary changes for them were actually huge. They're not a great singles army because they're very prone to just like, oops, I lose by a narrow margin. But losing by a narrow margin is great in teams, so.
Yeah. I take and stake because calculated targeting is fucking stupid other than that.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have that Imperial Knights. See that problem, solve it for 0 CP, please.
Yep.
It's real nice.
And that's all the questions we've got, unless somebody wants to pop in with like a last second question while Ines does our plug.
If they don't, I'm gonna close this out. This has been episode 6 of Stat Check. I have been Ines. I was joined by Nathan, Jeremy, and Turbo. This episode was called All the Necessary Qualifications because of how goddamn amazing the Australians are. Massive props to all of them, as well as the Poles and the Germans for closing at the podium at the first ever WTC and doing it in style while winning Best Sportsmanship prize, which is honestly the biggest style you can possibly achieve. It just shows that the Australians are an incredible team that deserve every single piece of success they gave their way. And I'm so happy for them, and I'm super proud of them, seeing how far they came from 2017, 2018. We have been Stat Check. If you enjoyed the show that we did today and you would like to hear more of us, you can check us out on YouTube, which is youtube.com/c/statcheck40k, or just Stat Check. Carrying on.
youtube.com/statcheck will get you there.
Just our stat check. If you enjoy the episode, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe, and if you could, please leave a comment. That really helps us out with discoverability and people knowing that we make good content. If you are able to, we would really appreciate your support on patreon.com/statcheck, where you can help us out for a few dollars a month. You get access to our Discord and our bonus content. We will hopefully be doing a bunch of WTC bonus content. I've arranged interviews with a few players. I know Anthony's looking at doing a few things. We're gonna milk this for all it's worth. So if you want to see that, then that's the way to do it.
But before we go, below average Bob has the most important thing, which is high turbo. Long time chaos player. I play Iron Warriors. God dang it! Too many of us have control. I play Iron Warriors, and we'll take that conversation back to the Discord where they can ask you a bunch of questions about how to make mutilators good.
But Anthony, my Chaos Lord Slim Job Turbo Dodge is very important to my list. He's armed with a plasma pistol and a crack grenade. How do I make sure I'm getting the most out of him? I'm considering giving him a lock of the black on his crack grenade and his chainsword, so that he deals mortal wounds with his chainsword, and also Night Haunter's Curse, so I can make one of those hits a 6, so I get exploding hits. What do you think of this plan? Can I win LVO?
You can, as long as everyone else trips and dies first.
That can be arranged.
And on that note, have a nice
Get us
night,
out of here.
everyone.
Night, everyone.
We'll see you next week, guys, for the time zone thing that we definitely always do.
6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesdays. Or 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, 10